Within 3 months, I had like 10K followers already. That was a very big wake up call for me to rest. My Instagram feels like an art journal to me, and that has to be a very healthy relationship. Most of the jobs I get these days are people seeking me out, and they're like, wow, I could never. And I'm like, actually, you could. If you hold yourself back by waiting for that, for something to be perfect or feel perfect, you're never going to get there because you're never going to allow yourself to make mistakes before that happens.
Hello,
Beautiful.
Demi. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to have you. I just want to kick right off and get right into it. If you could just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, about your dance background, your dance experience, and we'll start it off there.
Yeah, I grew up dancing since I was a child. I absolutely fell in love with most styles, but I definitely stuck close to jazz dance, was like my forte. So I was obsessed with it all growing up. Absolutely wanted to be a dancer my whole life, and went to full-time dance academy after school. I went and studied a year down in Melbourne and then a year up in Brisbane at a different academy. And basically began my professional career from there. I think since I graduated, basically that year, I started my first professional gig. I would say that my 20s were quite slow in the sense of finding my rhythm of where I was in the industry. And it actually probably wasn't until around about the age of 27 where I feel like I actually figured it out,
Yeah.
or found my version of figuring that out. And started to see a lot more success in that area. And it also coincides with also around about the year that I started roller skating. So I'm also a roller skater. And a couple of years before that, I also taught myself how to hula hoop. And so they're the other two skills that I pulled into my bag and still use to this day.
Well, obviously, your skater career has really taken off. But I mean, on your Instagram, you do a lot of dance too. I feel like it's such a nice little combo that you found. So tell us a little bit more about that. Why did you start skating? How did that come about?
Yeah, it was absolutely an accident. I bought myself a birthday present for my 27th birthday, a pair of roller skates, and I was like, great, this is going to be my new hobby. I'm loving this. I basically just fell in love with learning a new skill. And that coincided nicely with this, like it was before COVID, but it did coincide nicely with the training element when COVID began. I had something to fixate on. And fast forward to the start of 2021, I decided to join a challenge where people all around the world were roller skating every day for a year. And so I was like, I'm going to do this. And accompanying that, I decided to start a brand new Instagram account so that I could have a place to post the videos of that and keep myself accountable. So it was absolutely just a side thought. I didn't really think too much about the name. I didn't think about where it was heading whatsoever. Just started posting these videos every day. And within 3 months, I had like 10K followers already. And I was like, what? What's going on?
Yeah.
And it just kind of took off from there. And it's just slowly progressed each year. It was probably for about 2 or 3 years until it was 2 years until I actually decided to start posting dance. I did occasionally post dance, but
Yeah.
nowhere near as much as I do now. And that was 3 years actually, because it wasn't until start of last year that I posted a random dance video of me freestyling, and I went way bigger than I thought, and I was like, wow, okay, I could start doing this now on this account. And since that time, I feel like Peachy for me has kind of blossomed into something that represents more of me, and it's representing more of me the more I learn how to present that part of myself. There's still extra facets of my creativity and the person I am that I'm wishing to explore and open into my content, but it's just like a slow path of figuring out how to present that in an artistic way that feels right for me.
Well, I really like that idea because I find that for a lot of dancers, we've got the blinders on, right? If we're one track mind, it's just we're kind of not that open to other things when you're young, you know? And I
Hmm.
love that this whole thing spawned from you trying out a hobby, you know? Like we don't have hobbies as dancers. What's a hobby? And so it's like, it's so cool that you feel that this is more actually who you are, not siphoning yourself off to just being dancer, Demi. You're like just more,
Hmm.
this is what I like. So I think that's so important. And I mean, I think that comes across, in your content and why it connects with people. Another big thing that I talk about at Pivot is sort of the reasons why dancers pivot careers. And I guess kind of maybe like a sticky question of, you've pivoted into another very artistic realm and a very physical career. But do
Mm.
you ever think about like, what if I burn out physically or anything like that? Or
Mm.
is it just kind of like, we'll see?
I
Yes.
I very much try to keep the expectations surrounding my content. I try to keep it in line with the energy that I have to put into it, basically. I really try to have a good relationship with it, whereas I'm very much quality over quantity. I'm not going to post six videos a week if I'm not feeling it, or if the quality's not there. I'm not going to just post for the sake of posting. And that I think has been a really important part of me having just having that nice healthy balance so that I totally burnt out at the end of last year. I had a moment where I was exhausting myself. I was traveling consistently and I physically burnt out and I was very fatigued. And that was a very big wake up call for me to rest. I had about a 3 week kind of down period where I went, whoa, okay, let's
Mhm.
reground yourself. And it was a really good learning curve for me to realize the signs of that fatigue, and I kind of pick up on it a little bit quicker now, and I'm able to kind of give myself rest time, and I just take the pressure off myself because at the end of the day, my Instagram feels like an art journal to me, and that has to be a very healthy relationship. It has to feel like it comes from a place of inspiration for me. If it feels like it's too demanding, that's when it can balance into, yeah, the world of feeling like I've got to keep up to something, and I've got an expectation, but it's actually only I'm only posting what I want to do. And same with what I choose to post. It's all about what I want to post rather than the demands of my audience, or in other perspectives, like the demands of a director or the demands of like also an audition, like it's
Mm.
so funny. All the jobs that most of the jobs I get these days are people seeking me out and for exactly what I do, which is really cool. That's been a weird adjustment to going from my whole 20s basically trying to fit the mold of something else. Then now in my 30s, I've started to make my mold stronger and louder, and suddenly people are like, oh, we want a piece of you, can you come and do this job for us? And I'm like,
Right.
whoa, if I had known this so much earlier, I would have went into it.
Right. Well, I guess that's
Mm,
exactly how you do it then is that, because you could burn out in anything, right? So you might
absolutely.
as well sort of be your own boss in that way and take it into your own hands to say, well, I'm in control of whether or not I burn out, but I think dancers maybe get burnt out even more quickly because it's the demands of a director, or it's like I'm going to lose this contract if I don't keep going, and oh, I can't take a sick day. Whereas you're in control, which is, yeah, that makes total
Yeah.
sense. That's really
You're the
exciting.
artistic director. You're the
Right.
artistic director as well. So it's like not only that, but your appearance isn't governed by anybody else as
Yes.
well. Therefore, you can present the way that you feel most comfortable, and that is a very rare thing in the dance industry. So, yeah, something I really appreciate for sure.
So, I want to talk too about the business side of things and how that works with social media, and maybe what advice you would give to dancers or other artists who are looking to be their own boss and start making money on social media.
Hmm. Good question. I think like as far as the leaning into growing a following, I suppose in that way, I think for me it's always just been leaning into exactly who I am. I think I've built my platform based on total it sounds cliche, but total authenticity to who I am. So it doesn't feel too hard to work on. And funnily enough, the further you lean into your unique lane, the more individual you become, and then that kind of attracts people to want to see more from you. So it's hard for me to be like, oh, this is the clear way to build a platform. But if you manage to do that for yourself and you find yourself in a platform, I think finding your community is probably the first thing. The one thing I felt when I first started and first like had enough following to start looking at earning money from social media and things like that was that I knew nobody in the industry whatsoever. And that was really scary at the start. And I felt like a bit of an imposter. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I was severely undercharging myself. I didn't really have anyone in my corner. I didn't have an agent at that time that represented me for that sort of thing. And the biggest thing I've learned since then is that there are always people out there that know more than you that are willing to help you in your situation because they have already been there. And I personally love to do that for people I know now that have come into having a following. And I'm like, great, I can give you a hand because I didn't have that when I started, and I would love to help you out. It's like setting you up with things like a media kit and learning about what rough rates to charge and learning how to talk to companies and things like that and what's normal, or just having like people in your court that you can bounce ideas off and things like that, because social media world can be quite a lonely job as well. It's a lot of the time it is quite solo led. Like I am by myself a lot. I have friends and my partner is very involved in what I do as well, but at the end of the day I am quite a one woman show, so that can be a little as an extrovert, I sometimes get a little lonely in that.
Mm.
So definitely community has been the biggest thing to like kind of lean on and just like be outwardly approaching other people, chat to other people. Everyone else feels the same way. So why not us all like, congregate together and help each other out. So yeah, it's definitely a very lucrative world as an artist in general. I think that the biggest thing that I try to impart to my dance friends, especially people in my life that I look at and I'm like, you've got the most beautiful artistic eye. And they look at what I'm doing and they're like, wow, I could never. And I'm like, actually, you could. You could very easily do what I'm doing because it's not as far away from you as you think. I think it feels like a hard thing to do when you're not in the practice of doing something. And I think that's where it starts from, is that I practice creating my art a lot. And that's what I've gotten really good at, is practicing my art and learning how to make that, I suppose, recipe quicker and easier. I used to feel like in my earlier 20s, I'd come up with dance video concepts in my head. And my head, I'd be like, I need a budget for that, and I need this, and I need this person, I need a team, and it felt so like hard to make happen, or it felt like I had to apply a lot of money to it. Most videos I post now, they require zero budget because it's just what I have in my wardrobe. Yes, yes, I have upgraded gear and things like that. I've got myself a little camera now. But a lot of the time I was filming things on my phone, editing on a free app. And it's actually the thing that I had to learn to do was to just follow the whispers of inspiration. It was like finding those moments of where the creativity could hit and I could run into it. But if I wasn't ready in those, like mentally, to jump into an idea, then it wouldn't have happened because I would have talked myself out of the idea before I even started. So I think that's been the biggest thing I try to impart to other creatives, is that like you've got to really start listening to the whispers of inspiration that come into your head, all those tiny little ideas where you think, oh, I could do that. Or it's just even like looking things from a different lens. You see as a shining piece of light that comes into a bedroom and you think, wow, that looks really beautiful. Why don't I film something with that? Or you walk past a beautiful building and you're like, that looks amazing. How artistically can I create something within this? So it's very much it's almost like a third eye that you open up in the social media realm, because you start seeing the possibility of ways to create art, because you are your own audience now and you don't need to stick to the limits of theater or film or stage and everything like that. It's a different platform entirely. But that was a very detailed answer,
I
but
love
I hope
it.
it
I love it.
helped.
Oh, so many
Yeah.
things. But I think a big kind of nugget there is like giving yourself permission to go for it. And it's not as far away as you think. And I mean, I think that in any regard, whatever you want to go for, it's probably not as out of reach as you think. It's just giving yourself permission to go down that path. Even with charging what you're worth and knowing how, like, all of that kind of tricky stuff. It is definitely tricky because there's a lot of mindset stuff you have to work through. But
Hmm.
I think that's spot on that it's not quite as far out of reach as you might think or as it might seem in the beginning. Um,
Mm.
and it's cool too that social media is kind of boundless in that way. You can try different
Mm.
things and see where you fit. And you've definitely found a little piece of the pie, which is so cool to watch from the outside.
Yeah, you never can predict it either. Like, yeah, there's not one video that I've posted that has gone, say, viral that I've been able to go, yeah, this is going to do it. Like, you have no
Right.
idea what people are going to like, and I think that if you just get busy playing with your art, then that you're working with the odds then of someone picking up something that you're creating. I was sorry, 1 second. I just want
Yeah.
to check the number because I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was trying to figure out, like, oh yeah, I've got my recipe, and then I yeah, I suppose because I've posted 1,300 posts, and I was like, I've
Right.
done it 1,300 times now, so it's in the numbers. Yeah, like not everything I create is a masterpiece, but because I'm practicing my art all the time, I am slowly getting better and better at it and refining my process, meaning that it's easier for me to just create something on the fly now because I've practiced it and I don't feel so in my head in the way of art. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, it takes practice too. Like it's not going to happen on the first time.
Hmm,
And
absolutely.
I love that
We,
too. We think
I
we,
feel like,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like dancers are such perfectionists as well. We
I was
have
just going to say that.
absolute. And the other thing I can imagine, because I totally had this mentality in my later 20s, was it's the fear of what other dancers think of you, or the fear of how they're going to experience what you're putting out, because the art you're creating is vulnerable. It's coming from a place of your creativity, and that's a bit scary. So there is definitely an area where I felt scared for sure. And I think I can imagine other people feeling like, oh, well, but if I create something, it has to be perfect because otherwise I don't want to post it. And in my head, I have this saying actually, which is kind of funny. It applies to me personally, but it's a state of being that I call dodgy Demi, and basically it means that it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be perfectly finished. So it needs
Right.
to be finished, and it doesn't matter if it's perfect, but a finished product is better than a perfectly unfinished product, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's finding the fine line between quality over quantity and that dodgy demi mentality,
I love
where
it.
yeah, you obviously want to create your best work and you want to be inspired and create things that are innovative. However, if you hold yourself back by waiting for something to be perfect or feel perfect, you're never going to get there because you're never going to allow yourself to make mistakes before that happens.
100%. And that's why you're practicing because you're going to make mistakes. And it's so true. We're all such perfectionists and it really does get in the way. But I also like what you said too about how you, for the first however many years, you were just putting out skating content and then you posted dance. And it's like when you kind of let that part of yourself out as well, it was like, oh, the reception's good. Everyone loves it. And
Yeah.
I find that across the board too, where even if you went into a corporate job or into anything else, literally, when you let the dancer part of yourself out, it's well received, potentially
Mm,
more than what you expect. So I really like that that happened for you as well, because I've heard that from everyone too.
hmm.
So, what are the future plans? Like what's on the cards for Peachy and for Demi and anything fun happening?
Hmm. I feel like this year has been the year of sowing seeds. So I definitely think there's lots growing under the surface at the moment. I have so many things I want to do. It's definitely been like a year. It's not been like, what's the right way to put it? It's been a very year full of growth as such, in that my numbers have actually almost doubled this year. It's actually wild. So I've probably received the most growth in all of my years of being on social media just recently. Um, And it's funny because it's come at a time where financially it hasn't been as amazing as it previously has been. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. There's a bit of a balance happening right now. But I'm in this kind of mode of cooking at the moment, and I'm bringing new ideas to the surface. I'm looking at expanding ways that I can earn from this platform because as an Australian on social media, it's a little bit limiting. You can't earn money from Instagram and TikTok through their marketplace and stuff. And so I am looking at potentially setting up my business in other countries as well so that I can take advantage of that. However, I'm also looking into other ways other than campaign work and social media marketing. At yeah, like looking at kind of potentially creating a brand line or offering content on different platforms that serves a different audience potentially. I'm looking to expand into YouTube. There's a lot of areas that I'm wanting to expand within Peachy. I also have a little bit of a possible slight name change coming soon, which kind of aligns with a bit of a new chapter feeling. Peachy's staying. Peachy's here to stay. I'm not changing Peachy, but the skater component, I'm feeling that I might. I've got a name in my head, and it's still brewing with me. But I think by the end of the year, I'll have announced that and be moving into that. Basically, everything I'm telling you, of like how I'm feeling about myself and my artistry, it really aligns with that in that sense. And there's a lot of people that are like, I don't know if you should change your name. And I'm like, I'll do what I want. So
Right.
at the end of the day, yeah, I'm like, that's fine. I want a name that makes me feel exactly like me. And I think that the limitations of being Peachy Skater doesn't quite match that now. It matched it perfectly at the start and has served me very well. But I feel a new name will feel much more aligned with who I am. But as for other things, I am looking to get into a bit more acting. So actually performing side, I want to extend into things that aren't as vigorous on my body. So I'm definitely looking into doing a little bit more acting. I've done a lot of TV commercial work, but I'm looking into getting into some more film work would be very cool and
Amazing.
potentially, yeah, expanding overseas, looking at the US and Europe as well. So yeah, that's kind of like where my sights are headed at the moment.
So exciting.
Thank
Well, thank
you.
you so much for joining me. I think we'll wrap
No
it up there,
worries.
but I'm so glad we got
Yeah,
to do this. And
I know. It was perfect. And we're both
yeah,
in Brisbane right
we're
now. We're
both in
actually like
Brisbane.
in the same
Yeah.
city.
You're my first Australian guest.
Oh,
So
really?
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you.